We have a really interesting speaker with a really interesting product, Bob Bowman. So Bob, your business is digital baseball, sort of, right? It's baseball online.
Baseball on any device that takes a plug or a battery anywhere in the world. We're supposed to deliver the game the best way we can.
When you think of the owners of Major League Baseball teams, you don't think of them as being kind of digital natives. You don't think of them as being kind of advanced about the internet, but you have a company that they also own.
Yeah.
They set it up in what, 2000?
Commissioner set it up in 2000. He was a visionary in that way.
And it's really widely respected for the business model and the technology that you've rolled out. How can it be that these owners, who I don't typically think of as being digitally very aware, have a pretty advanced digital company?
I think lots of reasons. First of all, these owners probably now are a lot younger than I am. I've been here 13 years, so most of them are younger than I am. Second of all, they are far more business oriented than perhaps the olden days of the 1960s and 70s. Baseball's a business, and it's an important business, but it's a business nevertheless. And third, I think we just got started earlier. I think Commissioner Seeley was just a step ahead of most, although you pointed out Wall Street Journal, I think, deserves a lot of kudos too. And we just started earlier, so our mistakes, of which there were mountains of them, were made at a time when even keen-eyed observers gave us a break that they might not give in 2013. But in 2001,
Yeah, I gave you a pretty good review 13 years ago.
Not enough. Whatever you've done, it's not enough, and there's always room to do more. For instance, everyone here could buy a subscription and my children could eat tonight. That could happen.
Your children are going to starve.
They're not going to starve, no, but they could. It always could be more. But no, I just think that, by all kidding aside, we started at a time when the internet was up and down and nobody really knew what was going to work. And I'm not sure we do today, but I think there was a lot more amorphous approach toward good, bad. It wasn't quickly reviewed. And I think we kind of worked in stealth mode for 3 or 4 years and then emerged as technology got better.
Are you a mobile-first company at this point?
You know, we're big believers that this screen is the first screen. You know, anybody who thinks this isn't the first screen either is living on another planet or doesn't have children. But this is the screen that everyone goes to first. This is the screen we look at 300 times a day. This is unfortunately the screen that 14 people in this audience are looking at right now instead of listening to us. I mean, the simple fact is this is the, reality is the second screen, and this is the first screen. And so we worry about this a lot, and how you monetize it and how you engage people. That doesn't mean that TV is not going to go anywhere. It's our bread and butter in a lot of live sports. The game itself, going to a live game. I was at Fenway Park, for the tragic events later on that day, but I was there yesterday. That's still the best ticket in town to go to a live game. But this screen, the reality is, this is where my kids are going to conduct everything: entertainment, mobile, communication, and certainly commerce.
So what's the split? I mean, when you started, you were primarily in the browser on a computer.
On a desktop.
It was really Windows, then you did Mac, you became compatible with...
Mac was sort of a cute thing to do, right? Back in 2001.
Right,
I mean, aren't we progressive, right?
Right.
And now, you add up so it was one-to-one, right?
So it was started on computers. You were on mobile. I think you were originally on the iPhone, right?
We were the original app on. We were the largest grossing app on iPhone, or the iOS system, because we were not because we're better than anybody or bigger, just because we've been there longer. We were there number one on their tablet. But now, if you add up the operating systems, the different kinds of video we have to encode to, and the devices, we're at about 3,000 permutations. So every live game we capture and encode, we bring it all back to New York. We've got to turn around and send it back to about 3,000 devices around the world.
But what's the split between mobile and PC, Mac?
Yeah, right now, it used to be 100 to 0, as you say, and it's probably right now in terms of usage, that is page views, total time spent, it's about 50-50. In terms of people, it's still about 60% sort of wired and 40% wireless. But in terms of usage, if you add up engagement time, it's about 50-50, and climbing every day.
Now, you talked about business model. You charge a a fair amount of money for this in
Value.
the world of apps where things are free or 99 cents or $1.99. What do you charge?
Well, our app is an incredibly reasonably priced $19.99, and you get the full season. That's 6-7 months, counting the playoffs.
It's like hot dogs are reasonably priced at the ballpark, right?
They hot dogs.
In that
soda,
world, you're...
but for $19.99, think of this. Just think for a minute. Bear with me.
I'll bear with you.
2,430 games. You get a free game of the day. You get in-game highlights. You get live look-ins. You get everything you'd ever want. You get a live audio if you want to listen to the games. Your favorite announcers for your Red Sox. You want to listen to them. You get all that for a mere $19.99 a season. That's not a month. That's an entire 7-month. So that's you could call up Dow.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more, and you get the Ronco knife too. You can slice tomatoes in 4 seconds,
It's unbelievable.
and I can make BLTs like nobody's business. I mean, you get all that for $19.99. But it is.
But it goes up much more than that. If what you want is access to all the games.
If you want to watch live TV, it's $130.
And
$130 for a season.
And how many people are paying you $130?
By the time we don't break it out in between, but by the time we end the season, we'll end somewhere between 3 and 4 million paying subscribers. It's been growing roughly 25% a year for the last 5 years.
Some of them are paying 20 though.
Some are paying 20 and some are paying 130. With 130, you get by the way, 130 free with purchase. You get at bat for free for $130. We actually talked about that.
You should be giving me the iPhone.
We should be giving you the iPhone. We've been trying to give you an iPhone for 7 years. You've just refused to take it.
I have refused to take it, yeah.
On the record, let's get that.
So what's the split between, you just started on iOS. I think you weren't you didn't Apple promote it pretty
Yeah, they've done a great job.
beginning?
I mean, Apple takes its share of lumps, and at times they are relatively, the railroad tracks are pretty narrow in which they operate, but they run a great store, and it's a great phone. And they've created an ecosystem that is, really pretty good. There's a lot of competitors now, whereas there didn't used to be. But Apple's a great partner, and they promote it. They do a nice job in their store promoting it.
So what's the split between iOS and Android and other?
Yeah, there's no other. I mean, it's iOS and Android. The other is smaller than it's less than a percentage point as other. It's really two operating systems. We hope BlackBerry comes back. We think the Z10 is a nice device, and hopefully the Q10 will be a nice device. But right now it's the two, and it's narrowing. It used to be about 80-20. It's about 70-30 iOS to Android. The Samsung phone is really quite a good Android phone, and I think the closest thing to, if you think iPhone is the penultimate, I think it really comes close, and a larger screen in a video-savvy world. So maybe it makes sense. We'll see. More is better for us. More producer.
And what about in terms of free versus, because you have a completely free version of this.
We have AppBat for free. We don't recommend it, but we have it for free.
What does the free app give me?
A lot. It gives you like scores.
Yeah.
It gives you
Twitter will give me the scores. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. It gives you game day. It gives you balls and strikes game day. It gives you all the live game itself, and it gives you some highlights, but not as many. It doesn't give you live look-ins. It doesn't give you live game. It doesn't give you game day audio. If you're a baseball fan, you're going to pay the $20. If you're a casual fan and just want the official app, you're probably going to do this. You're probably just going to get the free app and not upgrade to the pay app.
Okay, so between Android and iOS, how about the paid versus free?
It's heavily skewed toward iOS. As you would expect, it's a more expensive phone. Generally, these are people who interact with their phone a lot more on a broader range of items than they do on Android. Android is a much more social phone, less of a business enterprise phone. And so we probably 80-20, maybe even 85-15 in terms of revenue.
Because people are watching the games at work, is that what you're saying?
Well, certainly they watch them at work, but the iPhone is it's a more expensive phone, and you're sort of self-selected that's the kind of customer you are. And so if you're spending $300, $400 for a phone, a $20 app is not as much.
That's if you're buying it unsubsidized.
If you're buying it unsubsidized, as opposed to the new subs as the
More than that, but okay.
It's almost 600. But
and how about tablets?
Tablets are real world. I don't travel with a laptop anymore. I just travel with a tablet, as I'm sure many people here do.
Which tablet?
I have the iOS tablet. I have the 3. I don't have
the iPad 3.
Yeah, it's a great machine. I don't travel.
Why don't you need a laptop?
I don't do a lot of heavy computing. I'm just not smart enough, so I just get on it.
You're really dumb. Yeah.
I guess, yeah. Finally, we agree on something. The tablet, I do, look, I watch games, I surf the internet, and I go to my email, and I have to download stuff. It's a great machine for that. It's light, looks good.
So in terms of your user base or your usage, how much of it is on
It's right now
tablet versus phone?
wireless.
Your mobile.
As I said, roughly we're 50-50 in terms of usage. Of that, it's 30-20 phone versus tablet, but it used to be 40-10. And I think the tablets are growing. And I say usage, it's a little skewed because a lot of people watch live games on the tablet. It's a great experience. It looks beautiful. And so a lot of people are doing that. For the at-bat app itself, it's almost 80-20 on the phone when people are just going through the app quickly. You're waiting for an elevator, you're waiting for your son or your daughter for school or church or something, you've got 3 minutes, you get on that. But if you're going to sit and watch a game, we find tablet usage is increasingly the way people watch games is on the tablet, not on the iPhone.
So there's been some debate about web versus apps. You just said you have to do 3,000 permutations. How much have you had to invest in developers to be able to support all the different flavors, particularly of Android, which of course has a lot of different flavors?
Android's an issue because it's arithmetic. It's linear. It's not exponential. I mean, it's not. There's no regression here. It's just you got to add people because it's a different operating system. So it's true. And so in terms of return on dollar, Android's not nearly as good a bet as iOS is, as you suggest. But I mean, we probably have 600 employees at BAM. Right now, and probably
explain what BAM is.
MLB Advanced Media is, so the last three initials are BAM, and that's kind of what we're known as. Sorry, and we have roughly, I'd say, 240 are in the technology group, and probably 100 of those are hardcore engineers, and probably half of those now are wireless / video, in terms of what we worry about.
And when you look at the Android side, is it? Obviously, Samsung has been the big comer. You mentioned it yourself. They have given Apple the biggest competition. Sure. They're becoming kind of cool as a brand. Do you focus on their phones and making sure it's great on their phones?
We certainly do. We focus obviously on, we do the same thing every day. We have a tree. We look at number of phones that are out there, and we want to make sure we produce the phones that are most prevalent and have a real operating system like Android or iOS. And then we look at the phones that we think are going to really take off. And the Galaxy, we think, hit that thing. And while the penetration wasn't high to start with, we think the ad campaign they had, the fact that Samsung's a multi-device player, and it is a cool company and a comer. So we invested heavily with Samsung in hopes that the phone would catch on. We want our content to be on it. We want people to see neat content if they use that phone. We love Apple, but we love competition.
We've been talking also about Facebook Home, which is, kind of takes over Android, wraps Facebook around it. Is there enough of a market for you to do an MLB wrapper around Android?
It's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that. And we're always one for trying to experiment. We don't mind trying things. We don't even mind failing. We'd like to fail fast before people discover what we tried. So we try a lot of things.
If they don't discover it, Bob, you are going to fail.
Right. Well, no, but if we see how bad it looks before other people see it, we call it a failure. But it's when we're on the quiet side. But it's an interesting question because ours is valuable content, and we know people love baseball, but we want to make sure that we are respectful not just of their wallet. We talked about price, but when you think about apps and devices, you got to respect people's time. And we're not, I'm not saying we could be, but to try and be a monopolist and try and say we want to own every piece of every day, we want this corner, that corner, we want every corner there is, and that's us. We're hard pressed to say that. We like to be the hotel after a long trip. You've been in a taxi cab, you've been in an airline, you've been here, you've been treated this way, it all is what it is. But with the moment, this app really navigates well. That video looks great. If we do that, we'll get our 10 minutes a day from fans like you and others, and we think that's enough. We think we can run a real business by getting 10 minutes and being the moment, the relaxing moment that fills your need, does everything you expect, and maybe just one thing more.
And is that what you get, about 10 minutes a day?
About 10 minutes.
And how many people?
Well, our app is open 5 million times a day, and over 1 million uniques every day now open our app, up about from 700,000 last year, and that number will grow, not shrink during the season as more and more people get into it. Other leagues, you know, in the NHL and the NBA finish their seasons, we'll acquire more fans or more active fans. And so we get a lot of people opening the apps every day. They'll open it 5 times, and collectively they'll give us, if they're not watching a live game, they'll give us 10 to 12 minutes. That's what they'll do. So it works out pretty well. And we want to be respectful of their time. We want to make sure the experience is great. It's kind of cool and neat. Maybe every now and then they turn it around and they show somebody. But we're not trying to be greedy with their time. We're trying to be respectful of their wallet, but also their time.
All right, I want to be respectful of these people's time, so we're going to go to Q&A, but I have one more question before Q&A.
Yes.
Another of our big themes here has been to try to get beyond just the U.S. View of the world and think about international. Baseball is primarily a U.S. game, and obviously it's played in a big way in Japan and Latin America, some other places. How much of your usage and how many of your customers, what percentage of your customers are international as opposed to U.S.?
Just over 10%, maybe we kiss 12, and it's primarily Asian. There's a little, when we say Latin America, it's more the Caribbean than true what we might think of Latin America, Argentina, Brazil, Chile. Those are, you know, there's certainly baseball fans there, but those are probably more soccer, or what we call soccer fans and baseball fans. And as you go to Central America, we have a lot more fans, and certainly in Mexico. So we have, and it's all wireless. There's no wired deals there. It's all wireless. And we have deals with most of the important carriers there. And in Europe, increasingly so, we have penetration, but that's mainly expats. So in terms of massive penetration, it's Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. And all of us are trying to, you know, make sure we do the right thing in China. But our approach has always been, we'd rather go slowly and make sure we do a country right. You don't get a lot of chances to, if you're an American company going.
You really think there's a baseball market in China?
Don't know. Yeah, we think, I don't know a marketer that can choose to ignore a country as important as China. Forget the just sheer size of it, just what China's going to be and what it can be and what it is already. I just don't think, if you're building a product, you can ignore that. Everyone may have a different approach but you can't ignore it, in our view.
Okay, questions? Because he knows who's going to win the World Series.
I know the 2012 winner.
You do?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I can tell you that. I can even tell the two teams.
Really? Anybody have any questions? Come on. See, we're between them and
Drinking.
And
by the way, me too.
Never. All right. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thank you very
Take
much.
care.
Yeah, have a nice day.